Hello and welcome to yet another cast. For you today I have a custom 4v4 Blade on Roxas map generator. We have Team 1 up here on the top, Team 2 down here on the bottom, and let's introduce the players. On the northernmost slot for Team 1, in red and going UEF, we have Carlos. I'm just gonna refer to them as Carlos. There are so many ways to probably pronounce that, but Carlos is a lot easier than any of them, so that's what I'm gonna be going with. Then to the southeast of that, in orange, also going UEF, we have C2118 Freedom. I'm just gonna refer to them as Freedom. To the south of that, in purple, going Aeon, and opening first land, we have Gamer. Don't think I point out the openers. Freedom is going first land, and so is Carlos. Unsurprising, I mean most players do go first land, so not too surprising there, but it's still good practice to point that out. Anyway, then last but not least for the northern team, a bit north of Gamer, we have Cascade going Cybran and opening first land in hot pink. Now, for the southern team, on their southernmost slot in this normal pink, this lighter pink, and going Seraphim, opening first land, we have Hachi. Then, to the north of that, in this burgundy red, and opening first land, we have Freshy, going Cybran. To the east of that, in this regal purple, going UEF and opening first land, we have Chet, playing UEF for us today. And then, last but not least, to the north of that, in white and opening first land, we have Hayden, who is playing no, that's not Cybran, who is playing Aeon. Why did I say Cybran? I don't know. However, they are playing Aeon. Right about the map, we have this middle land bridge thingy, where the players all spawn, sort of an island, and we have two giant pawns on either side, so with the way the players are situated, I suspect that we will see some naval play, as both, for example on the southern team, Freshy and Hachi both have easy access to that navy. So I expect those two players to go for a mix of air and navy, while the two other players go mainly for just normal front plays. The mirror thing would of course also be the case on the opposite side of the map. We also have two side islands that can be grabbed by the, I guess, air and navy players from either teams. And some plateaus. Let's take a look at Reclaim. Come on. 11k currently still left on the map. As you can always expect with Mapgen, dotted around the plateaus and stuff like that. We also have around these thingies, some actually not around the cliff or mountain range, but a bit outside of that. And that is that for the most part currently. Already naval factories out for Freshy. And currently still already also naval factories going up for Gamer. So I guess my assumption that the front players focus on land, not on navy, and that the back players focus on the navy was wrong, to some extent at least. Currently, no intention to go into navy out from Hachi. Never mind, there are naval factories queued. Though those will probably finish. Yeah, those will finish quite a bit after Gamers, as it is currently 2 NGs and the naval factory for Gamer has already finished. Now, not a lot happening. Currently some issues move towards the middle, some spams is being produced currently. But this is a 15k map, did not point that out yet. We are on a 20k base and the lobby is zoomed in a bit, and let me just enable the minimap. Had that enabled earlier to make some screenshots for the, not for the last cast, for the Monday cast, because this is recorded on Monday. So yeah, I had to do the thumbnail for that, which honestly I'm not happy with how that turned out, but the concept of just mass production that was important in that game and was so essential basically to why it was semi-interesting is really hard to capture. Engineer being dropped by Chad onto this side island, and also on this plateau. Well, it's not really a side island, it's a plateau, but whatever. We've also got a transport coming in from Freedom. And already some navy out from Freshie that is moving north, I guess trying to harass both Cascade and Carlos. Now, transport out from Freedom has been scouted, but that's for NGs, so that will probably still just take out that engineer. However, that engineer has grabbed these maxes, and maxes, T1 maxes basically pay off instantly, so that was still worth it, most likely. Freedom going for the reclaim, not the capture, surprisingly. A capture would be just really, really effective in this situation because you wouldn't have to spend the mass on those maxes. But it's their decision. We've got some T1 bombers out. One right here that will most likely try and get these energies down here. And no interceptor response currently out to deal with that. Yep, bomber goes for the drop, I think. Yeah, it is. Okay, figured out, that would deal some damage. Bomber picks off one NG. Apparently that's the second one already. Huh. But NT's now locked on that and it goes down. Another bomber coming out, but I don't expect that to be too effective with the presence of these NTs now. Now, Chad being somewhat aggressive with Commander and some accompanying spam. Same goes for Hayden, and Gunner Pride coming out from Cascade. And for Chad now as well. Chad, not Chad. And those are spelled very differently. Well, not too differently, but, well, pronounced, the spelling is still pronounced rather differently, so. I do spot a pillar out from the chat, so they have achieved T2. Yep, there it is. They are producing T2 land. Let's see, anything like T2 air currently out? T2 air on the way for Hachi. And let's take a look at... Oh, well, never mind, let's maybe not take a look, and let's take a look at the small run by currently coming out from chat. With currently only T1, the T2 has not made it to that part of the front yet. But that seems to have gotten 1, 2, 5 maxes, maybe even a 6th one. And potentially also overruns some army. So that's nice to see. Chad finishes the gun upgrade. Gun speed now also coming out for Hayden. But well, never mind, the gunner speed upgrade of course is quite a lot cheaper than the normal gun upgrades as it's only basically half a gun upgrade, but still Hayden is forced to cancel that with the army of Cascade moving in. More maxes being picked up by the run by from Chad. And those have definitely done some damage. T2PD forced in the base of Gamer now. That is not really what you want to do, as that is, well, it's not super expensive, but it's still an investment that you have to make. And it's definitely not a cheap one. Now, on that note, T2 Navy out for Gamer. And the ACU for Chad now pushing with the gun upgrade. Hayden being very ballsy, pushing this gun commander with a completely unupgraded commander, moving in some of those Auroras, but those won't do too great against a gun upgrade. What I actually want to look at was any tech. There is T2 out for Hayden. That's good to know. And T2 Navy now also coming out for Freshie. Now, I already pointed out the T2 Navy out from Gamer, who honestly is lacking quite a bit on the land, in terms of land currently, which is to be expected with their heavy investment into Navy right now. Though they are currently they have gotten double gun, they are currently going for the advanced range upgrade that the Aeon get. A change made on the FAF version of the game in order to make the normal double gun Aeon commander not quite as impressive in the early game, as the increased range of the Aeon gun range upgrade was quite dangerous, the range that you now get with this advanced gun range. But Chad now coming in as well with their commander and getting in some counter fire, though there is some T2PD now up for Gamer that will force Chad to be a lot more careful. Though saying that there are a lot of pillars now at the front line, so maybe it's not gonna be too bad, and also quite a few skyboxers, meaning that any attempt at airplay will basically just be denied. But the PD still ends up forcing Chad back. We do have T3 Air out for Freedom, going back to actually looking at any air stuff that's currently going on, or any attack. T2 Land out for Cascade. And T3 Land currently on the way for Carlos. How's T3 Air looking here? Okay, T3 Air has been achieved by Hachi, and they are currently working on their P-Gen, which I haven't paid attention to that in Freedom Space. Never mind, Freedom already has the P-Gen, so they are the slightest bit behind. But not by too much, so that won't be too important. Some Knights and Naval skirmishing going on here between one Exodus out from Gamer and a bunch of frigates out from Hachi. The frigates will probably win this just due to their superior numbers, though there is also a single assault T1 submarine that currently does not face any kind of counter, and that will slowly just tickle these frigates to death. Torpedo upgrade coming out from Cascade, I guess to try and help out in the naval game, though there are already destroyers out for Freshie, and those will definitely be really dangerous to a torpedo commander, as the depth charges and torpedoes that those get can be quite deadly. Some counter fire basing with some counter PD coming out in the on the southeastern flank out from Chad now to deal with the shenanigans that Gamer was up to with that PD firebase. And they are throwing up a stealth gen close to the front, so I suspect that they may be trying to get some PD creeping started, but they cancel that project and try to push forward with their commander. That is an interesting move. Right, it's to overcharge the PD. That is aptly named You Are an Idiot. Well, apparently that idiot was still smart, capable enough to take out that PD, so maybe not that much of an idiot, but I don't know, brute force and stuff like that. Honestly, I don't know. Navy 4, Hachi did actually get past and made it into the naval production yards of Gamer, and I think they killed off a lot of willpower right here. There is an Exodus out that will counter that and will most likely just end up taking all these frigates out, but losing that much willpower is really painful. And we have a large group of places that now came out from Hayden, pushing past, running by, and also threatening the commander of Cascade, who does not have any survivability upgrades and is taking a lot of fire from those. Also joined by a bunch of pillars out from chat. I don't think that commander will survive. It's already down into the yellow, down into the red, and losing HP rapidly, and there it goes. Yes. So at the 14-minute mark, first ejection of the game is Cascade dying to a push of places and pillars. The navy on the northern side seems to be basically the same as, but just mirrored to the southern side, with Freshie already having these destroyers out and T2 Navy, facing off against a bunch of T1, though there is now also some destroyers out from Freedom, who has inherited the base of Cascade. And while talking about that, I completely missed chat taking out Gamer. So the northern team down 2 players already. That also being handed over to Freedom, who is currently also under threat from a bunch of places, though they do have T3 on their commander, making that commander a lot more tanky, as well as a missile upgrade. Let's see how they will utilize that. And of course gun. So that commander a lot tankier than I originally gave credit for, with those 18k HP. Those tech upgrades, while they aren't quite as powerful as normal survivability upgrades, they still provide a big chunk of HP. Especially at when you have them at T3. Though, again, they aren't really a replacement for proper survivability upgrades. Now, Freshie did move up to the front with that commander, but they are pulling back. Right, with that patrol move, I suspect that commander was tasked with reclaiming. Especially at this stage of the game, that's a very dangerous call. Right, and they gave that commander normal orders again. There is also, of course, the name that I already pointed out here, that is currently, this Zen currently just taking some pot shots at these places. Oh, that is pushing up, and right, a bunch of singers coming out trying to do something, but there are already quite a few cruisers out, and those will just completely make those stingers vanish, like they aren't even there. And Salem probably won't do too well against this amount of places. And yes, there it goes. All of these submarines also basically worthless, as those units are hover, they don't touch the water, they cannot be hit by torpedoes due to that. Meaning that there's no effect to any submarines with the current looming threat of that hover. And neither is there any threat from these T1 top launchers. That run by just continuing to pull past now, threatening this the base infrastructure of Freedom with a bunch of maxes, which are all at T2. Losing those will be very painful. And 2 maxes go down. 3 maxes go down. Okay, that's a 4th one. And a 5th one. Right, that one also went down, that's 6 maxes. Stuff moving up here, so 7. That's super painful. It's a whole bunch of mass. Some PD now being thrown up by callers as those units have made it into their main base. And they also lose a max to that. Trying to defend against that, but that will probably still not prevent them from losing a bunch more maxes. Though the fire isn't focused, and with that, well, that's gonna be at least 2 maxes going down here. Yeah, I think this one will survive. Okay, currently there's an attempt to get this T3 max. But more T1 PD being thrown up, I don't think that will succeed. especially because T3 maxes, or at least UEF T3 maxes are super tanky in UEF fashion. Naval Lock now coming out from Freshie against Colors. Trying to take out the stuff up here, though there will be more destroyers needed against this amount of submarines, I suspect. But there's a bunch of destroyers here. Those cruisers should definitely still pull back, though. And that's closer than I expected, but that T3 max does survive. Freedom finishes an experimental. It's a Monkey Lord, who would have guessed. The cheapest experimental in the game is the first one to be built. And a bunch more of these bases made it actually ran by and took out a bunch of maxes up here. So that's going to be some massive eco damage. And I think we can also see that on the total team ecos currently, with Team 2 being almost 200 mass ahead currently. With around, well, not... yeah, more like 190, and never mind, we are over 200 now. That's something like 220 mass ahead. So yes, that is a massive, massive, mass difference, and that's just getting worse currently. Bunch of Ravagers now thrown up all over the place in the main base area, main base cluster, for the northern team to try and defend against these run-bys. Ravagers very effective at that because they have some very high range, some good DPS, and thus are very effective in dealing with basically anything. Even experimentals. But the damage has already been done. And especially with naval bombardment now coming out, the Ravagers will be of limited effectiveness because... not sure, I think Samus might outrange them, and even if they don't, battleships surely will, and there isn't much left to threaten any battleships that could be moving up there. Now, the more pressing issue currently for the Southern team, is there anything that they can do against this Monkey Lord? Well, chat should definitely do something, and that is run away, because that's a very short distance, and they realized it and they are trying to run away. That monkey currently AFK, so that's a good moment, but there's singular personnel and that will not save this commander. Let's see, there are more Percy's moving up to the front, and that higher amount may be sufficient. Also Freshie, very, very bossy strategy to stay with that unupgraded commander this close to the front line with a scouted Monkey Lord currently in the area. I think Chat took some fire from those monsoon guns. But, well, that monkey is currently chasing them down. And, well, they can probably use this cliff to, right here, to break some line of sight and just run around here. And though they are running in a straight line. But with the Monkey Lord only getting some sporadic move orders, that may work out. And there's a second Monkey Lord. Okay, how is stuff looking? Bunch more Percys, and that's gonna be a big aggro coming out for Hachi. The scale that Freedom is going for is not nearly as big. And though, to be fair, Freedom has to basically do everything on the map at this moment. Freshie is still with that commander AFK here, and that was Windows key, not Alt. So those monkeys can just push in here and completely wreck that commander because... okay, move ping goes out to run away with that commander, but if they don't, they are dead. That stuff coming also coming out in team chat that they should definitely run. And I just got the memo and started running. Well, as long as Freedom isn't aware that that commander is actually there, they are going to be safe. And, well, they are aware that it is there, but I guess they were microing other stuff, and never mind, they did notice, and they are now running after that, though there are some hefty power stalls. Well, that commander is dead. And this can make it to the water in time, which I don't think it will. There's the laser lock, and there goes the commander of Frashy. Completely avoidable, but... well... I guess there was some other more important stuff to micro instead of pulling that commander away. Though they have paid for that with their life. Small brick push now coming on up here on the side that is starting to run by here. And there's currently nothing to defend against that, as the main army for Chad is currently still tied up dealing with those monkeys. And, well, those monkeys are taking a lot of damage, as Percival's have an immense alpha strike, as we can see right here. And there goes the first monkey. Now a bunch of Wolfus also locking on to the second one. And probably still enough Percys left to just completely annihilate that. And okay, and there it goes. There are no battleships out for Hachi that will definitely be able to just push up and provide that shore bombardment that I already pointed out earlier that would just happen. Bunch of T1 bombers sent out to deal with those bricks, which that commander's without any survivability upgrades, and it definitely needs to stay away from those bricks because while brick tops individually aren't that great, in mass they will be completely devastating against the commander. But Chat does the exact thing that they need to do and moves away. Also moving those destroyers in to use their anti-submergible weaponry to take those out. And apparently the surface on, right on the corner here is high enough up that those can actually be hit by the normal beam weapon of those Seraphim destroyers. With that, I don't think those bricks will get too much more done, as that is a whole lot of destroyers. Let's take a look at the reclaim. Of course, a bunch of reclaim now behind this push right here, and well, currently no energies from the Southern team sent out to reclaim that. However, a whole bunch of energies out from Freedom that will try and claim that, and well, yeah, there's definitely a lot of mass to be had right there. And those bricks actually make it to the make it onto the land, but they aren't that long lived, so they just get taken out by all of these destroyers. Right, Ravagers being used as short defense. And and actually something I just realized, Ravagers will actually be quite useful to defend this strait right here. That the Southern team, or that the Southern team, primarily Hachi, needs to cross in order to threaten the main base of Carlos with the navy, and that could actually be, and with that they might even be able to take out some battleships. Though it would still be a heavy investment, but they will definitely do quite a bit of damage. Saying that the battleships could just wait in front of the strait and fire into that, so maybe not as effective. And the painting tool is, well, has started doing its thing again, where these dots are more spaced than they should be. At least we didn't have the UI bug where you get those weird unit icons right here in the corner. Or at least I didn't notice it yet. That battleship now trying to actually move up into the Bay Area right here in the back, but we have a whole bunch of Riptides coming out from Carlos that will try and defend, and any type of hover spam is really effective against battleships. Against all battleships for that matter. Meaning that that Galaxy class battleship is going to take a lot of fire and a lot of damage, and it's just shedding all of its HP currently. Some T1 bombers also sent in, though, and those will be, well, it will be some more slight damage that will be done, but again, nothing too major. But I suspect that this battleship will probably die. Yeah. Bunch of towed bombers are coming in as well. And we actually have a megalith up here in the front, though there is a giant army of Perseverance pushing against that. Well, the megalith is backed up by a bunch of bricks. So maybe it's gonna survive, but well, the megalith does turn back, so it can no longer bring its guns to bear, since all of the firepower for the megalith is in the front of the experimental, meaning that it needs to turn to face the enemy, or at least somewhat face the enemy before it can actually fire. And with that, it wasn't able to bring any of its firepower to bear for quite a bit of time now. Some supporting Harpies now also coming in from Hayden, which provide additional support, and that megalith is losing a lot of HP very quickly. And while it is very tanky, it's apparently not tanky enough because it's about to go down. There it goes. A bunch of T1 bombers coming in trying to help, but there are also a whole bunch of Ascendants in the area that are helping out against any kind of air presence, at least any kind of T1 and T2 air presence. And with that, those T1 bombers are just completely annihilated. Though they do get their first passes off. Which is at least something. Right, this guy getting apparently being named Infinity. I suspect that chat just has a naming mode enabled that automatically names some units from a random naming list. Some players do use those, and at least it's not one of the obnoxious ones where you just have the name actually written underneath the unit. Like, never mind, like you sometimes have with ACUs, though apparently not here. Maybe it's a settings thing, I'm not too sure. I never look at settings again after I originally set them up, so I have no clue, honestly. And after I set up my settings, I usually also forget what I can actually do with those, since there isn't much of a reason for me to change those anymore after that. Another megalith out for freedom, and that did actually allow to take out the remaining units of the push. We have a Fat Boy out for chat. That is, if used properly, will probably defeat the megalith. But if it allows the megalith to get in too close, then if the megalith is allowed to get too close to that, then the megalith will definitely win. The megalith having one of the two things that you need against high range units, and that is HP. The other thing that you would need that would be very helpful against those units is speed, but I mean 2 is always ideal, but 1 is basically enough to get close and do your damage. We have a Sauropa out for Hachi. That might be very effective, and for some reason that was actually tagged onto those ASF. Fun fact, the Sauropa is not a good air combat unit. It does, however, have some incredible ground DPS. with those cannon mounts. Like it's basically the purest definition of a gunship. But Hachi forgets to properly micro it and just gets it picked off by a whole bunch of ASF out from Carlos. And the Fat Boy actually does get in too close, and thus the Maglev can just completely kill that off. Though there is also the other good counter to the Fat Boy, that is just T2 ulti. As T2 ulti does outrange the Fat Boy, and with its low HP pool, you can run into the issue of your Fat Boy just not being able to properly do anything. Because it has to push into that, get close, where it already takes some damage to its shield. And if your ulti is properly defended, then, well, it will take more time to siege that ulti down than it will take that ulti to kill your Fat Boy. Solution to that, have a lot of Fat Boys. Like 2 or 3 Fat Boys at the same time make it nearly impossible to really defend against it effectively. At least if used properly. If you just run those directly into your direct fire opponent units, then yeah, you have a really easy time defending against it, but that's the one thing you should never do with Fat Boy, run in. Another Maglev coming in for freedom. And not much going on. Let's see. Right, nano repair going up on the AC of Hachi, so just not wishing to be sniped from them. Shooting on the air crit. Reasonable thing. I know that I don't do that often enough. But yeah, it's something that you should technically do, as air crits with those massive, with that giant amount of PGens are very vulnerable to ulti. Though, once again, a lot of players forget it, including me. Or at least they forget it until ulti is on the field when it can be too late. GC coming out for Hayden. And let's see, anything else currently? Anything worth pointing out? Just more Fat Boys out for Chat. Fat Boys now coming up for Carlos as well. Stun naval engagement up here with a whole bunch of cruisers now instead of those destroyers. Cruisers, due to their, the Siphon Cruiser has a higher fire rate than the Salem. And also gets those anti-aircraft cannons that can fire on ground targets. Which aren't that great, but still some nice additional rapid fire DPS that you can use against any hover units. So in general, the Siren is better suited to fighting this kind of situation than the Salem. And it's way more fun to look at this amount of cruisers just firing at anything, especially if they aren't targeted on the same thing. I mean, look at this. You just have shit flying everywhere. Now, do we have any standoff technology coming up? Well, there's S&D, but S&D is no standoff technology. There's actually Tier 3 Navy being produced for Carlos. So, Hachi not being able to capitalize on that, on the naval advantage that they enjoyed after inheriting that area. At least not quite yet. The Fat Boy for Hayden does finish, not the Fat Boy, the Monkey Lord, GC. Right, that's the name of the unit. Don't know why that was so hard for me. I mean, I can even literally read it when hovering over it, but who knows. But first Maglev does go down. Still a bunch of Pursuits left that are pushing it in against that. And as Fat Boy is now also pushing up against that. Maglev being queued up a bunch of small orders backwards. The trick to move the Maglev backwards is basically just give it a bunch of close by small movement orders, so that it stays within the range where the unit doesn't turn because it's not because it's basically just not efficient to turn. And that way you can actually do something. A large group of Nothas owned for Hachi. A really large group. Might see ACU snipe with that. The ACU for freedom is not well protected currently. It has a very tight patrol move, though I'm pretty sure that Notha can actually just hit, if it hit in the middle of that, would just always hit the ACU. But I guess Freedom realizing that moves into the underneath the shield, which will provide at least some more HP pool, some more defense. Though still we could see an air snipe about to come in, and is that an attack move? I think that's an attack move. I don't know why you would ground target this area at this point specifically. Maybe Hachi thinks that the ACU is there. Right, I think that was an attack move, and those have just retargeted on basically everything but the stuff that they should have targeted, causing massive air engagement and loss of a lot of these Nothas. Bunch of maxes going down to those, but well, I think there could have been a lot more damage done if those had been targeted onto the ACUs. Like, I think those Nothas could have ended the game right then and there if they had been given the correct orders. Yeah, both ACUs only with T3 upgrades as their to increase the HP pool. That was definitely an ACU snap in the cards right there. Big group of Continentals, 2 of them fully loaded with Percies, now moving around the back for freedom. And if those do drop, there's gonna be massive second wave of Nothas now coming out, and I have no clue what they are ordered on. But looks like they are just intended to cause massive, maximum amounts of eco damage. Honestly, I think that's really just a massive waste of those Nothas at this moment. Especially because they're also flying over so many Zams to actually reach their targets. Right, Hayden pointing out Hachi that Hachi basically ecos and also just kills off counter eco. Which, I mean, yeah, they are sitting at 1.4k eco. They definitely have a massive eco. They definitely have a lot of mass to go around, which is also necessary to support this much of an air grid. And by killing off enemy eco, they basically make the just widen the advantage for their team. We are currently looking at 2.2k eco against 900. And that's a lot. Actually saying YOLO taking my E. So, wait, they are building a YOLO? There's a tube going up for chat. Oh, yeah, right, they are just casually building a YOLO. Right here in the back. Yeah, just noticed. Hello, armed. Bunch more Nothas going out, and this time going after the air grid. Just completely crushing the power production for Colors. And let's see, are they power locked currently? Well, I think they are currently relying on overflow from freedom. And with the amount of Nothas we've seen coming out, that will definitely mean that's not going to be too great, as those will also just be completely annihilated. That power production will also be completely annihilated once they target this air grid. And the power lock is not great, especially when your opponent is working on a gate member. Though on the note of game enders, are there any counter game? Why am I even asking? Of course there aren't any counter game enders, because the eco for the Northern team for Team 1 is currently just completely in the gutter. Not another snipe coming in. I suspect that is going after this aggregate. And I would be correct. AGC managed to push in as well. Lots of damage done. And now we're looking at a power stall for, at least for Carlos. Freedom is actually currently still overflowing a lot of power, but no longer enough to sustain the massive mass investment currently coming out from Carlos. And even though I point out the massive eco situation and eco disadvantage for the Northern team, it's still important to point out everyone, well, not everyone, Chad isn't, but both players on the Northern team still over 400 mass income. Freedom actually at 500. Right, everyone above 300, and there's just some power stalling currently going on. That caused some power locks. Right, because air experimentals take a lot of power, and Hayden is currently building a saw. A flying donut of doom that the Aeon have access to. This fat boy just pounding this battleship. And being very successful in that, as that battleship is not being marked properly to use its superior range against Fatboy. As Fatboys are outranged by T2RT, and T2RT is outranged by battleships. Meaning that naturally that is not going to, if marked properly, a battleship shouldn't take damage to a Fatboy. Though at some point there isn't much marking to be done anymore, and because it's just easier to have your units move to a position, even if it is a bit close to shorelines and stuff like that. The other thing to point out, we are at 43 minutes, probably closer to an hour for the actual players in this game, due to the general slowdown you get due to connections and slower CPUs. I mean, I don't have a top-of-the-line CPU myself, but I'm pretty sure mine is still, I still have a higher end setup than the average that you would see for the average that you would see on the FAF user base. And the Duke did finish for Chad, and that is firing, though honestly there isn't much of a centralized, doesn't feel like there is much of a centralized base left to fire at. Also, nuke coming out, I suspect that is, yep, that is a YOLO nuke. And the YOLO also getting a lot of assistance, meaning that it's going to load a lot faster than with its normal 2.16k build power. And the current situation is basically going to be impossible for the Northern team to defend against that. As you need around 5, was it 5 or 7 SMDs, can't remember. I think it was 5 SMDs for an unassisted YOLO to actually defend if you're not stalling. And I suspect, well, currently they are floating mass, so no, they are power stalling. So they are actually stalling. But even holding on to that amount of SMDs would be nigh on impossible for those players. Just control K of everything coming out from Freedom as they just see that the game is over. Fair enough. I mean, it's still a bit sucky to control K everything you have, but I don't think that's gonna be too important in this game, because I'm pretty sure that we're not looking at a situation where Carlos could be coming back from this either way. I don't think they have the ability to actually do anything to win this game anymore. So does try and go in after the ACU, but just a large wall of Zams out from Carlos does take it down, and massive strat wave. And that massive strat wave is not going after the ACU. It's going after economy. Just killing off the spirit of Carlos in their last minutes. YOLO nuke does go for this area. Carlos just stays there, either not aware that that is coming in or just no longer caring. And well, this SMD does actually still have 2 missiles loaded, so that first YOLO will be shut down. However, at this point that will just prolong the inevitable. If you look at mass incomes, we're now looking at a situation of 2.2k eco against just 141 eco. That's almost a factor of 20 in terms of mass income. And that's really hard to recover from. Like, your opponent needs to mess up really, really, really bad if you can actually recover from that.
Strategic launch detected.
Next nuke goes out. This time the SMD isn't loaded as it had to use both of its missiles to shoot that down. As the missile of the Uranus in its rapid fire state also takes 2 missiles to shoot down. It's very overpowered, though it is a game ender, and thus being overpowered is kind of its job. And it's just balanced out with the high price. Remaining power going down for Carlos, and there comes in the missile. And there we have this beautiful Seraphim wormhole. A bunch of more Strat bombers coming in, I guess to cause more emotional damage. However, the game does end with that nuke. And I hope you enjoyed this cast. This was streamed live on Twitch. Link to that will be, as per always, down in the description. And yeah, leave a like if you enjoyed this video. There will be more casts like these coming out, so if you want to be notified when those do go live, you can always subscribe. It's completely free. And with that, I hope you enjoyed. Hope to see you again in a future cast, and till then, bye!